Welcome, everyone, and welcome to another build session with Devpost. I'm Darlise, aka Darveloper. I'm developer marketing manager here at Devpost. And for anyone who's newer to us, Devpost's mission is to inspire developers, creatives, and builders to build great software. So we're creating a world where everyone who wants to improve their craft or is inspired to build can do that. They can come to Devpost for that inspiration and do that thing, which is build. So to that end, we power most of the world's software hackathons on our platform. Quick context in case you're just getting oriented, maybe you're just getting started with this hackathon, maybe you found us on social media, you're like, what the heck even is this? This is the Agentic Cinema Hackathon, and this is a hackathon from Google Cloud Partnerships where you're building a functional AI agent powered by Gemini and Google Cloud Agent Builder. So this agent is going to solve real bottlenecks across the entertainment and media industry. It's leveraging technologies from our various partners. So think filmmakers, screenwriters, studio crews, or even fans like me, like you and I. And submissions are still open all the way through, I believe, September 9th. So this is, I believe, our last build session for this hackathon, which I'm really excited about. And for our partner today will be Replit, and we're super excited to have Manny here, who will be presenting and giving a workshop on how to leverage Replit for your project. So without further ado, I'm happy to introduce Manny.
What's up, everybody? Hey, Darlise. Happy to be here. Manny, I'm on the community team at Replit. Replit makes it super easy for you to build and deploy your applications, even if you don't have a coding background. I get to talk to folks like you and hang out with folks like Darlise and show you how to bring your creative ideas to life. Super excited about today's session. I don't have a ton of background in cinema, but I am a big fan. I love studying the craft and understanding how directors go about their work and how all the folks come together to put together a film and work in that space. So excited to be trying my hand at building a product or an application for this use case, and excited to talk to all of you. Would love to get your feedback in the chat in terms of what we should be building, what would be helpful for you, and just have a live build session and make sure that you're getting the most out of Replit and getting all of your questions answered. So super pumped to be here. Excited to be building here with all of you. Okay, so I'll jump us off. Okay, so let me share my screen here. So let me bring this up. Desktop one. All right. Let me move this over here. Can everybody see my screen all right?
Sure can.
Okay, perfect. All right, so here's the idea for today. Here's the plan for today. We're gonna spend some time in Google Gemini ideating our idea, what we should be building. Again, I'm gonna be relying on the chat here, your help in terms of what we should be building for today. Then we're gonna take that idea and start building it out in Replit, and then we're gonna deploy this app in Replit as well. Again, the cool thing about Replit is that it helps you build that idea out, have you have a full-fledged application up and running. You can review it, you can preview it, and you can add all your favorite integrations, whether that's AI, authentication, if any services that you need to bring your idea to life. And then it also allows you to deploy that app as well so that other people can view it and other people can test it out. And I'm going to walk you through everything here in this process. And the idea that came to mind for me as I was planning for this is sort of this idea of having an app that allows you to go from a script to a shot list. So I would imagine this is pretty tough for as I do content myself, I oftentimes start with a script and then I want to think about how I'm going to block the different shots for my tutorials or different content that I'm doing. So I think something like this might be helpful. And so we'll start off by kind of thinking about this concept and fleshing it out a little bit, and then we'll take this into Replit and start building it out live. And as we go through that process, I'll be looking at the comments, I'll be taking your questions and making sure that you're following along. So with that, let's jump in. And then again, I'll just show you kind of how I start this process. How you start might be different, but I usually like to start in a tool like Gemini and just start thinking about the idea and kind of getting some sense of what I want to be building, some of the features that I need, and what does a V1 for this idea looks like. So I'll jump into Google Gemini and I'll use my transcription service here. You can click the button here. I use a different tool called Whisperflow, but I could just drop this in here and say, hey, I would like to think about building a tool that allows filmmakers to get a sense of the shots that they need based on the script. So the idea would be that I would be able to input or upload a script, and then I'm able to generate a bunch of shot lists. I think the term for this is a shot list. The shot list has where the scene is going to take place, the equipment that's needed, different notes for the production team. So can you help me think about this concept and this idea? What would a V1 for something like this look like? So I'm going to drop that in. And again, I'm not dropping anything too technical. I'm just kind of like asking for some information here and I'm trying to understand what I'm trying to solve here. So here we have Gemini giving us a little bit of feedback here. Like, okay, so we're going to need something like a scene, location, shot type. That all looks good. Equipment needed, production notes for a minimal viable product, simple parsing, allow PDF. Okay, that makes sense. AI shot generation. That would be kind of cool to have the AI generate an image of the shot, give us some sense. Editable grid view, export functionality. Yes, so like somebody wants to go in there, drop the notes, and like export the whole thing as a PDF, use it on site as they're building, and some other issues. Okay, cool. So you can go back and forth and you can chat with Gemini. Maybe you want to think about what the tech stack might look like. You might want to think about additional features past V1, or here's a nice prompt here. You can go into drafting the prompt architecture. What I'll do is I'll just ask for a prompt that I can copy paste and put into Replit so that we can start building this out. Okay, this makes sense. Can you give me a prompt that I can drop into Replit to start building out the V1 of this, please? Going to drop that in, and then I'm going to wait for Gemini to give me a prompt. And so here's the prompt. Okay, so build me a web application called Script to Shot, automatically converts a script into a shot list. Okay, this looks good. And then just kind of review that. I don't know if I need all this, the technical details, so I'll probably omit that because Replit tends to do a good job of figuring out its own technical requirements. So maybe I'll just ask Gemini to omit that. Can you focus more on the functional ask of Replit? Maybe not so much on the technical details because Replit has its own way of doing that. So maybe just focus on the functional needs that we have, the features, and what the end output looks like here. So I'm gonna drop that in, and we're gonna get another version of this here. So let's see here. Okay, so let me read through this. Key features. Okay, so drag and drop, intelligent shot breakdown, interactive set ready. Okay, so here is the updated prompt. Yeah, so it's giving me like what I'm gonna get, some functionality, some AI parsing generation. Cool. All right. And then one last thing that I'll note is for the AI parsing generation part of the script, can you just have Replit leverage our Gemini integration in Replit as the native AI engine? And the reason why I asked that is because in Replit, we allow you to integrate different AI services. And so we can leverage the Gemini AI generation service, which is really good for something like this, without having to set up a separate Gemini account, which is really neat. So let's take one last look at this prompt here. Okay. I think this is good. So let's head over now. And I'm going to head over to Replit. And here I can start in chat mode. You can do the same thing here as well. You can talk about your idea, or you can just drop in this prompt. And I'm just going to drop that in there. And I'm going to have Replit start looking at this. And Replit might have some additional questions, but we'll go through that as Replit gets some time to go through this initial prompt and ask us some additional follow-up question. I am starting in one of the agents mode, free mode here, which allows me to build for free on my core plan. So if you're on our core account, which I think everybody here has access to now, this allows you to chat and to build for free for a certain allocation of credits. So definitely take advantage of free mode. Okay, so now Replit is going to start building this out. And so now what Replit is doing, it's setting up all of the infrastructure, starting to write the code, and starting to build out this application and give me a preview of that prompt. So this will take anywhere between 5 to 10 minutes to give me a preview that I can look at. And then once I have this up and running, I can go back and forth and make some changes as I would like. So we're going to let that build for a moment, and I think we could take some time to answer questions or check out the comments.
Yeah. So we have a project idea. Nikhil says, okay, idea, build pre-visual layer for stunt teams to help them make cleaner actions at the same time, saving time, money, and improving safety. Nikhil, if you want to explain your project more, we'd be happy to kind of go over that. Yeah. And then alternatively, while Nikhil, you're explaining more, there's another question. How can I use Replit and Google Cloud to build an agent that monitors live data 24/7, sends WhatsApp alerts when voltage methane is abnormal, and then three, auto generates PLC code for Raspberry Pi? Oh, interesting. Can this
Mm.
also work with low internet using 4G LTE?
Yeah, I'd start off in Replit and just drop that question in. Is that question in the Q&A segment?
Yeah, it's in the Q&A.
Okay, let me see if I can get to it. Oh, I see it now. Perfect. There's the Q&A. Let me pull this over here so I can see it. Yeah, the way I usually kick these off, I would go into Replit and drop that same question, and ask how to integrate Google Cloud. Because I think everything that you mentioned, WhatsApp, that's going to be integrated into Replit pretty straightforwardly, either through one of our native connectors or through a more manual API service. But that should be pretty straightforward to set up. And Google Cloud should also be a pretty straightforward integration as well. So I would start in Replit and just drop in that question that you have, and start have Replit walk you through that process. But my sense is that would be pretty straightforward to build out. I know there was another question. Before I do that, I want to come back here. So if you notice here, I'm getting a prompt to level up the agent mode that I'm in for this build because it's a little bit complicated. So it's asking me to level up to power versus free. So I'm going to go to power and continue to build in power because it's a little bit more of a heavier lift here, at least based on what Replit is recommending. So I think that answers that first question around building with Google Cloud in Replit. Again, yeah, I would go into Replit and just drop in that question, and then Replit will walk you through all of the integrations that you need to bring in to make that happen. We have some 500 different connectors. So WhatsApp is going to be on there that allows you to integrate that service into Replit pretty straightforwardly. Something like Google Cloud might need a little bit more work on your end, but Replit will be able to walk you through all of that.
Nice. We have another question. When prompting Replit Agent, what is the best rule of thumb for deciding when to specify the tech stack versus letting the agent decide?
Okay, so the way my view is that Replit Agent is gonna know a lot more about what the right tech stack is than you will know, especially if you're non-technical. Now, you can spend some time researching this and figuring out what the tech stack should look like. But if you notice earlier on when Gemini was giving me the tech stack, I actually had that omitted because Replit will be able to research what the best tech stack will be for that particular application. And also Replit Agent might have an opinion way on doing those particular types of applications. So I don't necessarily want to confuse Agent by having an opinionated take on that. Now, I on occasion I will like make a suggestion. I would say like, hey, is this like, do we need like this particular tech stack or this particular functionality to make this work? But I frame it almost as a question for agent to research and come back to me and tell me whether or not that's required, more so than an actual functional requirement that I'm making a Replit agent to build out. So I would say, the way again I start all my projects is I have somewhat of a technical background, but it's more sort of on the data science front, it's not really on the web application side. So I'm relying on agent to guide me through all the technical part of things. Really, what I'm concerned about is telling agent what winning looks like, what is the end output that I want, what's the functional experience that I want my users to have more so than on the technical front and even more so on the design front because I don't have a background in design and UX and UI. So again, I'm relying on agent to help me with that, and I'm just trying to tell agent exactly what I'm looking for.
Mhm. Awesome. All right, we have some projects in the chat, which we can save in a second here. Let's get back to it.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll come back and take some more questions. Okay. So now what you're seeing here is you're seeing agent continuing to build. If you want to take a peek and see what agent is doing, you can click into these tic tacs here. It's setting up the environment, it's setting up the project, it's integrating all the API services that's needed, and it's doing some additional work. In the meantime, if you notice, I've gotten a preview of my build here. So pretty fast, pretty snappy, looks pretty good from my vantage point, and kind of gives you a sense of what agent is building out. The cool thing about this is that this is already being hosted and in the cloud and is available for you to share with other folks and for maybe even folks that you might want to have testing out your application. So if I go here and I click on this button, this little arrow out, you're going to see that it's going to take me to a development URL. And this URL you can share with folks. You can say I could drop it into the chat and you could be able to go in there and play around with it. And it's a great way to get feedback on your project before something is built. The other thing I like about this is that it also allows you to click on this here. Uh, let's see here. It also allows you to view how your project looks across different devices. So if you want to see how this looks on the phone, you can click into any one of these options. And it also enables you to make changes on the fly pretty quickly and look at the changes and what they might look like before you actually publish it. So where we are right now is we have a preview here, and we haven't tested anything just yet. And then next it would be to do a security review to make sure that that there's no like glaring security issues, and then to publish it so that we have a URL that we can point people to that we feel is at a good place. But now let's take a look here and let's maybe just have a chat with agent here and say, okay, can you tell me a little bit about this? What's some of the core functionality that we've built in here and how does somebody use this? And so we'll have agent kind of give us some guidance, but I can tell here. So I'm going to drop in some text here. So let me go here. I have a sample script and I'm going to drop it in here. And we're going to click enter and let's see here. Okay. And then, all right, got it. So step one is to drop in the screenplay text. Step two is to decide the vision here, directorial vision. And I'm going to click on fast paste. And now I'm going to build the shot list. And so we'll see what we get back here as we're testing it out. And so again, so the neat thing here, so usually, the steps here are like ideate, think about the idea, think about what a V1 looks like, then build it out in Replit, get an initial preview, and just start clicking around with it and seeing if this is something that you like and something that is functional and testing it out. And so here I'm asking for some feedback here in terms of what we're building. So the core functionality is we input a screen play text. Then we select the vision. Then we have AI shot list generation. So Gemini analyzes the screenplay, will identify the scenes, the headings, and will give us this information. Then we also have an interactive shot list editor. So once it's generated, we'll be able to change different things. And then we have a production summary, and then we have export tools as well. How someone uses it, they go to script.toShot, they input their script, and they get all the functionality out after they build on the shot list. Okay, that's helpful information. So let's go back here, and here is the output here. So I inputted this script. I had it built the shot list, and now here I have my shot list here. So let me zoom in here. So scene one, establishing extreme wide. And then we go into insert, establishing, insert, establishing. Some of this terminology is a little over my head, but it tracks from what I've seen, the behind the scenes specials that I've seen on some of my favorite movies. So that's scene one, okay, introduction to Corlano. And then scene two is warehouse, okay, establishing shot, and then got some details here. And then I wonder if I can edit this. Okay, I can change this to wide. So maybe you have like, maybe this is a tool that you use with your team. So you say, hey, here's all the shot lists, but actually like this needs to be like a close up. This needs to be a medium wide, and we can build that out. Or I want to move this scene up so I can now have this be like earlier in the shot, so you can move that around. And then we have our final scene as well, establishing insert, establishing insert. I can delete this. I can add another scene here. So wonder where that went here. So I can add another scene and continue to build this out. I also have some meta information here. And again, I just started off, if you notice, I started off with just a general idea, and Gemini and Replit are building out all this additional functionality because it's researching and it's thinking that it's understanding what you might want in this particular use case, and it's building out this different functionality. So at a glance, okay, total 14 shots. I have all these different scenes. I need this equipment, and that's kind of like the high level overview of what I'm going to need for this shot. So let's continue to click around and let's see what else we have here. So okay, that's coming soon. So open screenplay. This is okay, it's different screenplay that I can drop in there. And then I don't see the image generation work coming into play. So let me go back to agent and chat about that. I wonder if I'm just missing that UI. So let me go back here and say, okay, I tested it out. I was able to upload a script and it got a shot list with some good information. Really cool. So that's functional. Guess I'm curious, where does the image generation come into play? I didn't see any images being generated. So I'm gonna just drop that in there. And again, this is my favorite way to work with AI now. I just chat, kind of like just free consciousness type of chat, and just drop it in there, and then have agent kind of figure out what I'm looking for. Okay, so let's see. You're right, didn't miss that thing. Imagine image generation is currently part of the active workflow. The first build parsing the text. Okay, image generation was left as potential extension. Okay, so I got it. So it's leaving it as a thing to do next, which we can do. But for a V1, this is what I was looking for. So like the ability for me to generate these scripts. So what else should we add to this? So let me go here and suggest a new build here. So let me say, okay, can you build out the image generation functionality as well? I'd like to have like maybe for each scene, maybe like have like a simple image that shows me what the screen might look like. So if it's a wide shot, it's kind of giving me kind of like that wide shot view. If it's a close up, it has like maybe a hand drawn person on there where I'm pushing in, just kind of like maybe like a better visual to represent each one of the shots for each scene. So I'm going to have agent build that out, and then we'll come back. But for an initial, like we did this in 5 minutes. So for an initial build to have this up and running pretty fast, that I think that's pretty the tier. So as that's getting built out, let's take a moment to answer some questions and check out the chat.
Yeah, so we've got some great questions and some great projects. Even Victoria posted a link for her project. So maybe we
Oh,
can actually go through that because that'll help everyone kind of get an idea of what Replit might be looking for. So I'll post those links in the chat again, just for you,
oh,
Manny.
nice. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Okay, and then just for the recording, the description of this project. So Victoria says, I built a multi-agent film discovery system that pitches forgotten classic films to me cold. No taste profile, no hints. Oh, interesting. Gemini researches the film using parallel search, pulls stills, critical history, and where to watch it free, then makes its case. I react, watch, or skip. Every verdict goes into ClickHouse, and the agent learns my taste over time. Interesting. The question the whole app asks is, can Gemini figure out what I actually like without being told? I only watch anime now. This is the litmus test. What you're seeing is V1. The pitch and verdict loop is live. V2 will add the content creator layer, where every verdict generates a YouTube description, draft, and thumbnail prompt automatically. The app becomes my production tool. The YouTube channel is just the app in use. So Victoria says, I'm a hobbyist learning my chops on Replit. So yeah, like let's talk about this project, the project she described. What are your thoughts?
Very cool. Well, first, Victoria, thank you so much for sharing. Really cool. And the neat thing that Victoria did is, if you notice, she's sharing with us the dev URL, which I mentioned earlier, and you can grab that by clicking here and copying this or clicking on this arrow here, and you'll get this dev URL. And again, as Victoria is doing it, it's a great way to share where you are in a project before publishing. So just wanted to call that out for everyone. Really functional use case. The next thing, so let's go here. I like the use case. So let me see. I've got usernames. Okay, so oh, maybe I no exclamation point, exclamation mark. So username, uh, no spaces. Okay, so let me do that. There it is. Okay, cool. So welcome to the Code Case Cinema. The pitch, watch or skip or archive. Let's go to the. Oh, okay. So it's the different steps. I thought this would be clickable. So maybe this feels like a button. I kind of want to click on this. So just some feedback there. So let's open our first case here. So it's searching the archives. And maybe here, maybe tell me a little bit more about what's going on. What am I expecting? What's next? Um, so I'm like ready to respond once it's up and running. Okay, cool. Okay, this is neat. So maybe like as that's like that's time right now that you can start priming your user. So you might say like, oh, getting, researching cool movies, like finding like a movie that you might like, get ready to evaluate it. Like maybe some like pop-ups that kind of come up as I'm waiting so that I'm not just looking at like a blank screen here. And so the night of the hunter. Okay, cool. So let's see here. I got these thumbnails here. The log line: two children flee down river from a murderous preacher hunting the money their father hid. Ooh,
Oh,
classification. Okay. The verdict. I guess I'm curious, what are these thumbnails here? And I wonder if we can maybe customize them a little bit. Okay, so I want to click on this, but when I click on this, I'm not really going anywhere. So maybe either remove this or maybe make this text a little bit easier to read because I guess I'm unsure in terms of what I'm supposed to be getting from this. You might also want to incorporate ratings from like comments from like other viewers because that would influence me as well. Like, this is like a 76 on Rotten Tomatoes or like the IMDb score, or like many people consider this to be a classic because X, Y, and Z. You'll like this if you love movies like X, Y, and Z as well. I think that'll help me make a decision here. But for like from what I'm reading, like, okay, The Night of the Hunter, I'm gonna say let's skip this one. Okay, cool. So now logged. Now I guess it's gonna take me to the next one. Do I click on this or do I wait? Okay, so I guess it's loading and I'm waiting on this. So maybe like once this is done, it goes to a different page that maybe it goes back to that initial page that I was waiting on. Okay, now it's the red shoes. Adapted after the last skip logged. Okay, that's neat. The fact that it's incorporating information from my last session. And it's got some more information here. Cool. I'll watch this one. See what it does. Verdict, watch. Neat. Awesome. Yeah, I like this. One is it's leveraging Gemini to do research, do the image generation. It's leveraging Replit to build it, to host it, and ultimately to deploy it. And I think this is a really cool use case. Iterate a little bit more on this, and I think you're onto something here. The other thing that I would suggest is, if you want to brighten up this design a little bit, you can head over to the design tab and you can have Replit give you some suggestions on designs. So if I go here back to my build here, this is a little bit dark. So maybe I want to explore different options here. Um, have like maybe a little bit brighter, maybe have some different variations. I can click on that to do that. We also have these cool templates that you can look through. So maybe pick one that you think resonates a little bit more with your audience and grab it and bring it in. So like this seems, something like for me at least, something artsy, something clean. Like I kind of like this, so I'll just grab this. It's a poster, but I can say, leverage this design to, yeah, for my build and have this be more like this design. So I encourage you to do that if you want to change the look and feel of your build a little bit more. But cool, thanks for sharing, Victoria. Awesome.
Amazing. Thanks so much, Victoria. All right. We'll take a question now. So this will probably be good for everyone to know, because this will differ per client. But for AI calls to be made in our app, do we need to have our own API key hooked up, or can we ask the user, whoever's judging, for instance, to use their own API? The last hackathon I participated in burned through my tokens when people were just testing it out. Miguel did respond. Someone in the chat responded saying, I think we create a Google Cloud agent key for this hackathon instead of letting the user use their own API key. But can a host confirm this? So, yeah, this will kind of be dependent on what judges prefer.
Okay, so I would say, I'm not sure. Okay, so just general guidance, at least from what I've seen in other hackathons, is that you typically will use your own API keys to power the service because if it's too much friction to have somebody grab their API key and drop it into your app to build. I guess you could do it, but if the first thing that I saw in the previous app was like, drop in your API key, I'm like, one, I don't know where to get that. Two, I don't know if I trust your application with my API key. So I think people just won't use it. So a couple of thoughts here. I would maybe limit the API calls that are happening in your application. Try to make it maybe more efficient, maybe limit them. And then if you want to have people upgrade, like that's a paid option so that you get compensated for the AI services. But for something like this, I'd say you'd have to it's best to integrate the service into your application so that, you'll be using up your tokens, but it just makes for an easier user experience. And also for judges as well, the judges won't be able to see everything that you built if you have them, if you require them to input their API key.
Great answer. One last question for you. When prompting the AI to parse non-standard scripts like raw voice transcriptions from Whisperflow versus industry standard screenplay formatting, how do you prevent hallucinations or missed scene breaks?
Um, okay, so I'm relying on Replit to build out that the specific prompt and the guidance on that for me. So that's why I kind of focus on functionally what I'm looking for from an app. And when Replit builds out the functionality for that, it knows the format that it's going to get. So I'm just going to drop this in here, and it should have like an expectation to make sure that it doesn't hallucinate on the script. I mean, AI has gotten pretty good now. I'm not seeing a lot of hallucination. I think the more important question is what is the desired output of an AI service and function, and how do I want to be able to see that and take that? So like all of this that you see here is AI generated, but it knows that it needs to follow this format. And it knows that, the expectation of what's coming in. So I would focus just on being clear with agent and with your AI services in terms of what the expected output is, and functionally what do you want to see as a builder, functionally what your users want to see from your application. And I would say that AI is going to be pretty good at building out the right prompt for that.
Great answer.
Yeah. So like I can go here, like for example, I didn't, if you notice that you saw me build this live, I didn't give Replit any direction on what the prompt to the AI services should be. I'm just telling it like, hey, like I want to take a script and I want to be able to get the shot list. Okay. Agent's like, oh no, it's gonna appreciate that. Like, okay, then I'm gonna need this particular prompt to the AI services, and then I need these verifications, these functions to make sure it's outputting it correctly. And all I'm doing is reviewing the final output and making sure that it's working as I expected. Okay, so as you saw earlier, so I wanted that visual generation to come through, and so I dropped in that prompt, and now AI built in this function, or rather Replit built in this functionality for me to generate the storyboard reference. So here we are. Check this out. This is so cool. Look, establishing wide. And what's neat about this is that it's also bringing into consideration the context of the scene. So, like, again, I just told Replit, like, hey, I want a shot that visualizes the scene. And this is what it's giving me. It's really neat. Like, okay, so focus on Don Mateo's hands peeling the orange with a knife, shallow depth of field. Okay, that's cool. And then here is another one. Sally standing, subtle handheld breathing in contrast with Don Mateo's stillness. And look, you can see like the image that like the little like slight like movement here. That is so cool. The envelope sliding across the oak desk. Focus on the texture of the wood. And look at this. It's generating the texture of the wood. It's so cool. Sally's POV on Don Mateo as he delivers the Friday ultimatum. All right, I got to visualize the rest of these now. That is so cool. All right, so one, we've got image generation here, which is really cool. This is leveraging Google Gemini, really good image generation model. And the one thing that you didn't see me do is leave Replit to go find an API key. Why is that? Because in Replit, we have a service called AI integrations that allows you to tap models like Google Gemini, bring that into Replit without you having to go to Google Gemini, get an API key, set things up, and then copy paste that into your environment like you have to do elsewhere. I just asked it to build out that integration and is bringing that in. Now, you still have to pay for it. It's just that we're getting the list price for that model service and we're adding that to your overall Replit build. So you don't so you'll still be on the hook for that whatever that usage for that model is, but we're saving you on the inconvenience of having to go to those different services and bringing that in. So we also integrate with other AI services as well, but Google Gemini has some really good stuff both on text front, on the image generation front, and on the video front. One other thing that we could do here is like maybe like even like generate video from this, but that would be like maybe like a V2 thing. So um I just asked my app to visualize this. And so look, it's generating these images as well here. I think this is so cool. Tracking Sally as he exits the warehouse into harsh, high contrast sunlight. Now, imagine like I always like I've seen the behind the scenes of some of my favorite movies, and like they would have to hand draw all of this. Um, and this is really cool. All right, there's a question here. How do you set up this is really cool. How do you set up a prescription service? All I need is a Replit subscription and Gemini. How do you set up that integration? That sounds so cool. I agree. Yes. So all you would need really is a Replit account. So when you go into Replit, you'll just ask for that integration, and we have integration into Google Gemini, and it'll just bring that in. And what it's doing in the background, Replit is setting up this integration for us. So if I go here to our secrets tool, you'll see that Replit automatically set up this AI integration Gemini key and this URL, the configuration to make the Gemini functionality work within Replit. So you can start from Replit, and you can have Replit Agent set this up for you, and it will automatically call the Gemini service. It's a really handy tool because then that means you can bring in all sorts of AI into your application. So if I want to, like, all this text is being generated by Gemini and also the images, and it's just I didn't have to leave. I didn't have to go leave, set up an API key, and bring that in. One less thing that I had to do. Yeah, it's a really cool thing. Um, can we create? Okay, can we create live human realistic characters? Let's try it out. Now I'm curious. Good ask. So again, as you're seeing, like, so if we go back to our plan, the plan here was, hey, let's ideate, check, let's build. And now here I would say like iterate and just try out different functionalities. And all that I'm doing is I'm coming back here to agent and I'm asking different questions here. The AI generation was really good. I really enjoyed that. I wonder if there's a way to maybe toggle the type of images that are generated. Like maybe there's an opportunity to like have it like maybe like I guess the way you have it right now, which is maybe like more cartoony, but then maybe also have like more of a human realistic character type of image that gets generated. What's the best way to kind of think about this? And then for something for something like this, I'll opt to go into plan mode and have Replit think about this functionality. And before it builds, give me a recommendation and a plan in terms of how to build this out. So I'm going to let Replit Agent cook on that for a bit, and then we'll come back. So actually here, the strongest product, let's see here. The strong product framing is to keep it direction of it. Okay, so it's giving me some recommendation in terms of how to bring this in. So this is another cool thing to note is, I like going to plan mode because I don't know where to put this into the application because I'm not all that familiar with the space and I'm not also all that familiar with UX and UI principles. So agent is going to tell me like, actually you should put it here because it's going to be easier for the user. And it's kind of doing that here. The strongest product framing is to keep directorial vision and visual style as separate controls. Okay, cool. That gives the filmmaker control without making the minimalist drama fast paced. Okay, cool. Drag it. I think of this as two separate axes. Yep. 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 I created this task. Okay. So I would say you can build in background as a separate task, or you can build here in the main build here. I am just going to build it here. Just keep it easy. So now Replit's going to go and build that out for us as well. But I think that's a good suggestion. And I would encourage you to do that. Just going back and forth. Like if it's a simple fix, I'd opt to go into free mode here and make that change. And if you're planning out something that's a little bit more substantive, you can go into power or max and opt to go into plan mode to get an idea of what you should be building before you actually have agent build something out. And it's also a great way to learn. So like I'm learning like where I should be putting this, like what's going to be moving around, what the user is going to see, kind of get more familiar with my overall application. Um, awesome. What other questions can we answer as
Hmm.
that's building out? I like
Yeah.
this
So
so
while
much.
that's
This is so
building,
cool. I'm gonna visualize some more scenes. So these are now like
this
again,
is
this is
super
it's the shot
cool.
list. The other thing we can add is you can have people sign in and drop notes into each of the scenes. So you might say like, oh, like this is Jerry. He has his comments on this. He'd like to change this. So you can have this be like your entire project management application for the day of shooting, which I would imagine like would be super helpful for someone.
Amazing. Maybe we can get into another project feedback. We don't have a
Oh.
link, but more so the description of the idea. So the idea is called Studio Chain from Mohammed. The concept, a multi-agent network designed for indie film studios to automatically manage intellectual property and crew royalty payouts. How it works. The user uploads a project manifest or contract. A Gemini powered agent extracts the agreed upon revenue splits for the director, screenwriters, and crew. It then dynamically generates a Solidity smart contract for the Polygon network to handle automated payouts. So now we're getting into a little bit of blockchain here. So, yeah, I'm curious your thoughts on this idea, what it would look like getting deployed on Replit. And yeah, does Replit typically handle like blockchain or Solidity and smart contracts? Like, yeah.
Yeah, so where was that? Oh, can you post that maybe in the chat so I can grab it and just
Yeah,
drop it into Replik and have a conversation about it? This is like the
I got you. I got
I
you.
we always have like some great ideas, and my response is typically let's go to Replit and let's have a conversation with Replit about this. Okay, perfect. Okay, so let's drop this in here and let me copy paste this. Let's close this out. Go to Replit. You can start
Daniel
ingest.
also wants to steal your storyboard idea.
Take it. Have it. I'd love for you to see what you do with this, especially if you're like have some familiarity for this. If you would use this tool or know people that would use it, I think this would be like a great tool. Because you can add like a bunch of stuff to it. So I could say like, okay, I got this idea below. Can we chat about this a little bit? What does a V1 of this look like? What are some of the features? How tough of a build would this be in Replit? And I'm just gonna drop that in, and we'll have a conversation with Replit. My sense is looking at this is multi-agent network design for indie film studios on managed intellectual property, crew royalty payouts. I think for me, I would focus on like what it if um if I'm a director of an indie film studio, what are my biggest pain points in managing this, and what do I want to see? Like, what would be like the lowest lift kind of easiest thing to do? Because I would imagine that even having a simple tool where folks can track this and like do some project management, maybe add some files, maybe be able to tag people in certain projects, or maybe even be able to assign tasks. My sense is that just getting the UI and the project management part of something like this would be 80% of the value, and then the agentic work is like the other 20%. It's kind of the cherry on top. And that's something else that I kind of would point out is as I see like great apps that I think are getting a lot of traction. I think for us it's kind of easy to focus on the AI and what AI can do, but I find that there's some of the better examples are folks that are just like providing like a customized service of how to do something in a space that maybe there isn't a lot of options. I would imagine there's not a lot of options here, and it's just a tool for people to do their work and complete that task. And then if you have AI sprinkled somewhere in there, that's great. But it's just having a tool that handles that particular problem that I have that's opinionated for that particular task and just well built for that task. That goes a long way. So that's what I would focus on here. Okay, so yes, there's a real product here, but I don't make autonomous agents. generating Solidity for V1. So I would not make some, okay, the valuable core is turning a messy agreement into a trustworthy, audible royalty log. Blockchain can be the payout rail here. So here's some guidance here. And here's the other thing. I will leverage a tool like Gemini or Replit just to talk about this idea and talk about really where the value is. So here's like the V1 promise, like upload a project's contracts, revenue statement, review the exact deal terms, and generate transaction a transparent payout calculation. Okay, so and then the workflow. What is the workflow? Okay, create a project, upload this exact royalty. Cool. And then yeah, that's good. The feature that I would make distinctive is Alex receives this amount and assign 5% of net receipts. Sensible V1 architecture. Important division is AI interprets documents. Okay, so first smart contract. And so like a lot of detail here, like my recommended V1 boundary, a royalty operation platform, small suit exact deals, optional release. Okay. And so I would go back and forth like this until you're comfortable. And then I would build this out. For integrating things like blockchain, I've seen it happen. I've seen people use Replit for that. I think, if you're comfortable with that, great. But my sense would be that it's something that you're gonna have to walk through with agents' help. So you're gonna say like, hey, I want to integrate this blockchain. Here's the documentation, or go research it and tell me how to do that, or go and grab the documentation, copy paste that, and drop it into Replit and make that happen. So let's try this out. Let's build this out. Okay. All right, build me a V1 version of this. Yeah, just build it. Let's see what we get here and what take a look at it. And again, the cool thing is that I'm in free mode, so in your core plan, all this chat and the initial build, unless I go up to like a different level, is all free. So you can build this out, you can get a preview of this, you can make some changes, and so long as you're in free mode, it's going to be included in your core subscription. This is available for core and pro. We just launched this last week. People are loving this free mode, so definitely take advantage of that. Cool. So as that's building, any other questions we got?
Those are majority of the questions because I know we're also at about time. Yeah, free
Yikes.
mode is a game changer. Yeah, like we were doing a lot. I told you this goes by super fast.
Free mode is awesome. Okay. As we're closing out, so I just want to point out one other thing. So, two things to consider as you're at this point in your workflow process. So number one is I would run a security scan. So we have a really, really robust set of security tools. And what you can do is you can opt to have different levels of scanning on your project. Basic security check will look at dependencies and packages. Level two looks at your code base and identifies any challenges you might have. And then level three is going to do like a really deep test and do like a comprehensive review of your project. And then you can just click on Run Scan Agent, and the agent will recommend different things that you might want to fix that you can also fix with Agent. One of the cool things
Wow.
that people love about building with Replit is that not only do we make it easy to build, but we also make it super safe for you to build as well. And the security and privacy center here is like your go-to place for that to do. So definitely do that. I think we're running up on time, so I just want to show you how to publish it. So far, what we've been doing is we've been in the dev URL, and the problem with that, the nice thing is that as soon as I make a change here in the project, it's reflected in the dev URL, and you can share it with folks. The problem is twofold. One is you might want to experiment and iterate in the development environment before you make it public for all your users, especially if you already have an established user base. You may not want to do that. And then number two is that the dev URL will go down when you're off of Replit. So if you're no longer active in the Replit project, that dev URL will go down as well. So how do we fix that? Well, we simply head over to publish and we publish this application so that we get a permanent production URL for this application. And this is what you'll share with folks. It'll have its own production database. It'll have its own production instance. So as you're making changes here in the dev URL, you're just playing around. It's not going to get pushed to your production URL. It's all going to stay separate. So this will take roughly 2 minutes or so. And then after that, we'll have a dev URL that we can take advantage of.
Amazing.
So
All right.
as we're doing that, any other last questions we want to handle here or any last comments?
Let's see here. I think one question that I'm seeing to accomplish this for this hackathon, do we directly use Google SDK or can we use some Replit integration with AI services? How would we implement in this example? Okay. That's a question from Miguel in the Q&A.
Take a look at it here.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I think so. I guess Darliz, I would kind of get some clarification on your end. Like, so it's for I think for us, so long as it's built and deployed on Replit, we're good on our end. That for the Replit track, um, built and deployed on Replit. And if you're using Google Gemini to get started, or you're integrating Google Gemini as your AI service to do anything
Yeah.
interesting on the app, I think that my sense is that would be all like that would be okay for a submission. Is that fair?
Yeah. From what I'm reading, from what I'm understanding about this question, I think that's fine because from what I'm understanding, they're basically saying like, the Replit agent is basically helping them write the code, but they're calling, the Google SDK, which is 100% fine and meets the requirements for this particular track. So I think you're good.
Yeah. Okay, perfect.
Okay. Oh, last question then. Can you explain what a win looks like for the Replit track and what things you would be looking for in terms of a winner? That's a great question to end on.
Um, yeah. Let's hear. Maybe let me stop sharing my screen here. Oh, am I not sharing my screen?
You're sharing Replit. I'm seeing provision.
Oh, okay. Perfect. So let me stop sharing this here. Nope. Oh, here it is. Okay. Perfect. Cool. We should be big screen now.
Hmm.
Yeah, what does winning look like? Do you know who's on the Replit side is going to be judging, Darley? I can give you my opinion in terms of what I've seen. Some good
Yeah,
entries on our
I don't
end.
know who'd be judging, but I would say speak from your point of view, what you would want to see out of like Replit submissions. Maybe not necessarily like specifically this hackathon, but what you've seen in other hackathons that
Yeah.
Replit has done. Yeah.
So we just wrapped up an hackathon that was focused on design. So I think that what stood out for us were one, beautifully designed applications that are not only functional but also looked really nice on first glance. So when you land on them, you're like, oh, this, A, it looks professional, it looks clean, and B, it tells you about who the application is intended for. So one thing that I've noticed is that, for newbies in particular, they're able to nail the functional part of the application. So, what it does. I think that's good. AI is really good at that. I think where AI still needs a lot of coaching and direction is on the visual aesthetic and the design of that application. So if you notice, like a lot of AI stuff tends to have a similar look and feel. Like right now, you're seeing a lot of like darks and gold. Actually, you saw that in my first version as well, like dark and gold. For some reason, I see that quite a bit, or like purple hue, purple gradients, and dark as well. AI loves to index on that design, but that's not necessarily the best design for your particular target user and where you're trying to communicate. So one thing that I would say is just appreciate that you're communicating a lot with your design, your topography, the look and feel of your application. And so I would spend some time up front thinking about that visual aesthetic, getting different examples, and thinking about who you're targeting and what that person, what's the UI or the design that's going to appeal to that person, and also communicate to that user really, really fast what your application is looking to do. So for me, I would go back and I'd look for like different like film aesthetics or like icons or like just kind of think about like what the topography, excuse me, what the what the text and the visuals that would help me communicate that effectively for the folks that I'm targeting. So that'd be one thing that I'd call out. The other thing that I would say is, having something that's unique, that is like maybe in line with something a space that you know well. Maybe it's a problem that you've had yourself, or maybe it's something that where you've worked closely with folks that have had that particular problem. It tends to come out in the design and in the UI as well. If somebody has that even somewhat limited domain expertise into that particular problem, so building something that you might use or where you have access to folks that might use that, I think that tends to work as well. So those would be the two things that I would call out.
Yeah, and then even adding on to that, so before anything gets scored, like you're gonna want to make sure that you basically pass against the baseline. So does it include everything that's even required for this particular hackathon? So make sure you're going through your submission requirements very well. Does it reasonably address the challenge? So actually go through the overview. What is the actual problem statement that's being presented to you? And is your solution actually answering that? And are you leveraging the technologies? Are you actually leveraging the partner technology? So like those are kind of like, I would say, the first door prior to anything else. After that, the second door that you go through is going through the actual criteria. So technical implementation. So how well the project is built. And that doesn't necessarily, I think to your point, Manny, it doesn't necessarily mean complex, like how complexly it's built, just how well made that it actually is. Granted, if you go super complex and it's well made, great. But if it's super complex and it's not well made and it breaks all the time, then it's not very well made and it makes for not a great user experience for the judge or anyone who would want to be using the product. And then in terms of design, is it like an actual coherent experience? Go through your project, or even ask an LLM to go through the project and actually go through the experience of using the product itself and see like, is there any point at which this is super confusing, or anything like that, or ask someone else to go through the product, the actual users that you'd want to use this project or product. Is there anything confusing at any point? Does this make sense? Does it actually solve the problem that you're professing that this is supposed to solve? And also, yeah, just get creative about the idea. I think ideas and projects make sense if it's a problem someone actually has, as opposed to you going to an LLM and saying like, hey, give me an idea for the Agentic Cinema hackathon, because more than likely it's going to spit out answers that many people are probably going to take as well. And so you want to also differentiate yourself. So doing the extra step of maybe taking a step back to think about, is this maybe a problem I have or a problem that I've experienced or I know someone who's experienced. I think you just have emotional buy-in. You have way more emotional buy-in with your project if you think of it from that lens, as opposed to just coming up with an idea out of thin air. Not to say anything's wrong with it per se. You can still create a really great, simple project that way, but you'll create probably a more interesting project if you think about it in terms of actual problems that you or someone that you know or issues that you had. I'm a massive complainer. I love complaining. So it's like, if I'm complaining about a thing, I might as well build something to help me not complain about the thing overall. So I would say like those are the things to look out for, whether it's this hackathon or any hackathon that you find on Devpost.
hmm I'd also love for the chat. Drop in what's been your biggest takeaway? Been your biggest aha
Mm.
moment from today? Would love to see that. Hans said this has been amazing. Glad to hear it. Hans, what in particular did you find helpful? Would love to see that in the chat. one other thing that I'll mention as well, Darlise, is that I think you can, AI has like it can serve as a really good coach for you as well in terms of like your design and your aesthetic. So at the very least,
Mm,
take a screenshot of your app and drop it into your favorite LM, whether that's Gemini or in Replit, and say like, hey, like here's who I'm going after. Here's kind of, what my product does. Is this being communicated to that person like within 3 seconds? Because most people will, they're gonna make a first, they're gonna make an assumption about what your app does within like a second. So you have that much time to really like hit them like, oh, this is the tool for this, blah blah. And then also focus on the copy as well. That's where I think people can lose quite a bit. One other tip that I would give also is that there's a difference between what your application does and how you present your application. So,
mm,
the best submissions that I've seen do a really good job of having a really nice front door, so to speak, or like curb appeal. Like, it'd be like, hey, this is what the app does. Here's some visuals. Here's what's cool about it. Oh, you want to try it out? Boom. Then you go into the functionality. And the submissions that haven't done so well is when you just drop me into a project or some functionality and you expect me to figure out what I'm supposed to be doing when I have zero context, or you haven't asked for my permission to kind of let me come in and play around with your application. So you can do curb appeal, like have like a nice marketing page, like, oh, like, are you, and then like focus on that. Like, are you tired of having like messy notes and papers, getting your scenes all messed up the day of production shoot? Like, never again, because now you have script to scene shot
mm.
here. Here's the cool thing that it does, XYZ. I'll show visuals of like the images getting generated, like have edits, and then like try out right now, try out for free. Here's the demo, and then boom, then I click into the platform itself. So just think about that, like the curb appeal, and then also like and separating that out from the actual functionality.
Yeah, that's a great point. Honestly, the curb appeal of it all and the creative storytelling around like how do you frame the problem statement that'll invite someone into the project itself. And then I saw someone talk about like Hans said, we'll need a ton of credits for what I'm building. Good problem to have. It is a good problem to have, but something that I definitely try to let people know is that you have like a slew of tools out there that you can kind of use and leverage to help bridge that gap. And so you don't necessarily have to use all your build credits all at once. So for instance, and this is also a Google Hackathon, like sometimes I use what is it, Google Stitch to help with the actual UI of it. So I'm taking like websites and taking screenshots and everything. And I'll say, hey, create a like a design MD based off of like the inspiration that I'm saying. And then I'll take that design MD and then I can put that into another tool because now I actually have a framework for it to use as opposed to it just kind of doing what it's always seen. So like there are a ton of ways to kind of go about that, honestly. So I would just highly recommend just think a little bit creatively. Like the world is kind of your oyster, especially with the tools that we have accessible. Oh, I see you dropped something in the chat. Oh, nice. That's what we
Yeah.
get.
Here's a deployed URL, everybody. Yeah, totally. Definitely echo what Darliz is saying. Um, I would say like here's a tendency that I'm seeing with new builders is AI is a new tool and we're all into AI and we assume that everybody also wants all this AI action. Number one, I should not see anything that says AI powered on your copy. So okay, so here's like how I would fix this. Number one is to me this gold and dark design doesn't really work for me. I think there's a different aesthetic that I can go after. I showed you earlier how to do that. Number two is that this is dropping me right into the application, which I said I don't want to do, right? So then I would take a step back and say like, hey, I need a marketing page. I need a landing page that just sells this application and what I'm doing. And so those would be the next two things that I would do here. And I just want to show that, finished publishing, here's your URL. Now you can go on there. You can all test this out. This is going to be up after I shut this down. And that's my deployed URL. If you want to go back and check the logs in terms of what's been happening in this application, you can do that here as well. If you want to look at the growth of this application, see how many people have visited, and see where people are coming from, you can do that here as well. This is a really cool new function that we rolled out. It's called SEO rating, you can leverage Replit to do an SEO audit of your application and help you get better visibility on search results and also in conversations with AI assistants. So when someone's going into Gemini and saying, "Hey, like I'm struggling with getting my scenes together on a movie shoot, like how do I do that?" It's a higher likelihood that my app is going to be brought up in those conversations. So check out our SEO agent for that is where you can run a scan with agent and get recommendations in terms of how to change that. But yeah, just wanted to show everybody the deployed URL and have you go and test that out. And then Hans, I would say on the yeah, so like maybe don't so like don't oh, I would try to say like what's the least amount of AI that I can get away with and get people excited with my application. I think that's a good bar. And then I would also look for ways to optimize that AI as well. So you can go into agent and say like, hey, like how do I like minimize my spend for these particular types of functions? Because originally when agents building it out, it's just trying to get you the end output, these shots here that we're looking at. But it may not be optimized necessarily. So you might say like, hey, like I'm looking to achieve a certain amount of scale here. How do I optimize it so like I'm not spending so much? And it may come up with different suggestions in terms of how to do that.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone. I know we're super over time, but this was an amazing session. Thank you all so much for everyone who shared their project, who shared questions, who shared their ideas. This has been really amazing to see. And also want to thank Manny and the whole Replit team for agreeing to do this session. Honestly, thank you so much. Just quick a note for everyone, please feel free, but highly encourage you to fill out the survey and just kind of like let us know how this session was for you. Let me know how we did so we can continue to bring these sessions to you in the future. We also dropped the Discord for Replit as well. And so if you have additional questions about Replit prior to your submission, definitely feel free to ask it in there. You can also join the Devpost Discord as well. There's a discussions forum on the hackathon page. If you were using this session to kind of figure out if you even want to submit to this hackathon, hopefully this was very convincing. I found it incredibly convincing. This is a really, really cool product. So I'm excited to see what everyone gets to build. And we'll send this recording out via email. It'll be in our Discord, but also it'll be on our YouTube as well. So thank you all so much. And again, thank you so much, Manny, for doing this session.
Thank you. I would just ask, build something and share with me on socials. Tag me. I'm at Manny Bernabe everywhere. Would love to see what you build. I want to see your submissions. Tag me, and I may even take a look in advance.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's a great idea, honestly. So definitely tag Manny. I can't wait to see what you all build. Appreciate it. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you. Cheers.